Hey guys, it's Ghosdee. Welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be talking about Sinners. Look, I know it's been a very long time since I've hopped on this little camera and posted a little YouTube video and talked about a little horror movie. I would say sorry, but I'm not sorry because I took so much time to just really recenter and focus on why I started making YouTube videos, how it was a way to cope with loneliness and a way to just truly explore a passion for film, the art of filmmaking, period, and horror films, because that's always been my thing. I've always loved horror films ever since I was a kid, and also share my perspective and opinions that I think actually are important. So I want to get back into doing this. I'm doing it on my own time. I got a little neurodivergent mind that is not I can't keep up with the rat race schedule, not with this one woman show that I got going on over here. So right now we're looking at one video a month-ish, maybe. Really, I'm hopping the gun on Sinners because I was just so excited to talk about this film because I think there's just so much to say. Oh my god. We're starting slow. I'll probably pop back with a Saw ranked video because I haven't done that. In all the years that I've had a channel, I haven't ranked Saw. That's crazy. Yeah, but for now, let's get into Sinners. In Sinners, Ryan Coogler creates a world where metaphysical meets reality. Brought to life by rich setting, characters, themes that are all melted together in this big, beautiful, gooey pot of filmmaking love. Before I went in, I was like, this movie's kind of long. When the beginning started and we're like kind of getting to it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I like these characters. I want to be sitting with this. Although I wasn't quite sure what was going with the plot, he made it kind of a ride. It's like, okay, like what's happening next? Da 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 da. Although I knew what the ending could look like. I knew there were vampires. I knew there would be blood at some point, but I wasn't entirely clear on this juke joint plotline. And I love that they spend so much of the beginning introducing these characters, telling their stories, and also kind of showing how they're intertwined with each other. I've seen a lot of opinions, and I feel like other video essayers and article people are interpreting this movie in a very specific way. I can't say that is how I feel, and also part of the reason why I love this film so much, because I feel like there are so many different perspectives that could be brought, and it's also nice seeing people get so excited to talk about a film, that is a period piece but also feels so contemporary at the same time. There's an essence there that he has pulled off. I know partly has to do with the language. I noted that the AAVE in this movie felt very natural. And listening to this man speak, Ryan Coogler, in his interviews, is like, oh, this is like, that's who he is. That's just how he talks. I'm almost certain he kind of nods at some sort of code switching, post-cornbread being adopted, and he's kind of talking kind of weird. It doesn't feel as natural, it feels forced. Honestly, I was like, maybe this is intentional. I'm not seeing many people connect this or tie this to being a coming of age film. Our protagonist is kind of a younger person. He has his cousins that are kind of like mentoring him. Hey guys, it's Ghosdee recording from the studio, aka a corner of my bedroom, where I realized I missed a major point and why I thought this could be considered a coming of age horror film. And it's the element of power and Sammy coming into his firepower. I feel like that is a trope we see in horror all the time. Carrie, ginger snaps, their self-discovery journey comes along with them discovering a power, a sacred power that they have. And that's just something small. I don't want to say it was intentional. I hadn't seen any of that in my reading. I do know, or at least I think I remember reading that Ryan Coogler reference thinking of Sammy as the firekeeper. So there's some element of this that may have been brought into it, but I don't know if it was like coming of age, this nigga needs a power. But that's how I saw it. Just want to get that out there. Back to our scheduled recording program. But then we get the scene in the car with Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo, and he's telling the story of a tragic time with him and his buddies. Kind of triggered seeing some prisoners on the side. It's triggered to tell the story, And that just made me think about sitting down and listening to my papa tell me stories and my nana tell me stories, and how that is a part of the Black experience, and that is a part of growing up. Storytelling and sharing our stories is a part of African American culture. It's how we connect with each other, and it's also how we learn about our experience. And to make the icing on the cake, the story segues into the song, which I feel like there are so many different scenes in this movie that's like, this is the thesis, this is the part, this is it, you know? But one thing that I love thinking about, I feel like this film is reflective of, is how Black people historically, not just in the Delta, but literally everywhere, because this is also how hip-hop was born, but Black people have used music and dance to express their sorrows, to express themselves, to escape oppression. And this movie is drenched in that. It is drenched with Black joy. It is a Black period piece that is not centered in Black trauma. Now, there's elements of Black trauma, but it's not centered in the Black trauma. And I love that, and I respect that, and I give it praise for that. And that, in several other ways, I think this movie is bold. I want to bring up the fact that it's a Black movie that does not demonize witchcraft and hoodoo. In fact, it celebrates it. In fact, I'll talk about this later. It has a main character, and her wisdom and her talents, her skills, her magic is what really leads these people to surviving some sort of a night, getting as far as they did. They didn't survive the entire night, but at least they would not have the knowledge they had if it weren't for the Hoodoo Queen, Annie. We'll talk more about her. She is a controversial character, but I want to save the details a little bit later. So this is a film celebrating Black joy. It's a period piece that celebrates Black joy, and I think that's also what kind of makes it feel contemporary, because we're learning and embracing in cinema, or at least we're trying to, baby, we're trying to move away from, you know, only sharing the Black trauma stories. Girl, look, there's more going on over here. And yeah, the struggle is fucking real, but if we're gonna share the real struggle, we're gonna be like, the struggle is real because of this goddamn fucking world. Yeah, and I feel like making the middle of this film kind of about this juke joint, and they're all dancing and they're having fun, like this pre-game to them all dying. It makes it so sad in the end when we start seeing them get swiped. I don't know why I care so much for like these random, like the random sharecroppers that were just popping up for a night. I'm just like, damn, they were just popping out for a night. Like, I feel more sad about them than I feel about Grace or like Pearline or Mary. Like, I'm just like, but the niggas who just wanted to have a good time. But the movie really, really brought me back. I mean, not that it ever lost me, but I was like crying, like feeling all the fucking emotions, because Ryan Coogler knows how to storytell. And he says that bringing emotion to his movies was actually something he learned from being an athlete. I get it, because I was a marching band kid, and I like was on the field and I was feeling that moment. But like, the connection, that man's brain. By the end of the film, I was feeling that emotion. It got me. It got me. I was feeling like excited because he's getting these Ku Klux Klan members. Love that Ryan Coogler is like, okay, like we're gonna have these vampires, but we also got these Ku Klux Klan non-vampires people that are kind of a problem. We didn't know it was a problem until it's revealed later in the movie, and then when they show up to what they think is going to be a slaughterhouse for them, it's really a slaughterhouse for them, you know? Michael B was not having it. It was very satisfying seeing him snipe all those Ku Klux Klan members and then die to be reunited with his boo and his baby. I was crying, boo-hooing. And then I started smiling when I saw Buddy Guy. And then I started to feel a little complicated when they had my girl Mary in some outfit. I get it. I get it. The one drop rule. Homegirl wouldn't have been wearing that though. We know that. People who look like her would have been looking like, I don't know, like, damn it, Brooke Shields. At that time, she still would have been passing. She would not, even with her little black boyfriend, she still would have been passing. What also makes Coogs a good filmmaker is that he's not really trying to make you believe one thing. And I think that's true by the end of the film when we see Stack alive and a vampire. And we can't really, for me, it made me feel like you can't really categorize this vampirism as an evil. Remick was doing some evil things. And to me, that has more to say about power and access to power and how power can change you. And I think about the fact that Irish people who were here had to assimilate for power and had this idea, like, if we assimilate, we'll have power. And I feel like Remick was just trying to do that because that's how we learn in that world. Again, going back to the people that are like, it stands for this, Sinner stands for this. It's not just that. It is so much more. So I haven't talked too much about the music. I really could just go all in about it. But for now, I'll just say, hearing the blues influence, but also influences from other genres that were born out of being influenced by blues. There's also this whole Irish jig going on that I was not expecting. And the dance number they had going on popped too. The big musical number in this one is I Lied to You. I love hearing the story about how this song came about, because apparently it was with some guy who had this song in his head for years. Ludwig Göransson was like, hey, I want to write this song. And the guy was like, oh, I've had a blues song that I've been wanting to write, and it's inspired by this and this and that. And he's like, wait, that's literally the movie. Like, this is fucking perfect. It was like a match made in heaven. Ooh, I just loved seeing how these things come together. I loved it. Again, it's like fantasy meeting reality. And it's a very real movie up until this point. Now we're going into this whole other world. And literally, his music is piercing the veil. His power is piercing the veil. Like Homegirl said in the beginning of the movie. That nigga literally he burns the roof. The roof is on fire. Like, do you guys remember that? The roof is on fire. We used to say that back in the day. But I was like, oh my God, like, he literally had the roof on fucking fire. It's good, man. They do it so well. Another thing that, it's not necessarily bold, because I think it's a vampire thing, but I'm always like, good for you, is that it's not afraid to be horny. So much cunnilingus and fellatio was being talked about in this movie. I loved it, honestly. Not because I'm a resident horny person, but because, again, vampire movies should be horny. I want to talk a little bit about characterization, like the themes, like the story. There's a lot of depth in the characterization that's fun for me. Each non-black character could be a representation. One could argue that it's a representation of how of the relationship of black people, of the relationship between black people and across different ethnicities, especially the community at that time. I feel like certain choices that were made between different characters were intentional. I think he's putting a lot of intention there. A whole fucking video could be on comparing and contrasting Smoke and Stack, their separate narratives, how their narratives relate to their love interest. Gotta have a love arc. Gotta have a love arc in a movie, and in a movie it ain't no love arc. But I want to talk about Annie. I want to talk about Annie because a lot of people have been talking about Annie. I wasn't really aware of this until I started reading and watching other people's videos, but I guess the general reaction to Annie was, whoa, she's not his mother, which is a visual representation of years and years and years and years and years of people being conditioned to believe that a certain aesthetic or a certain look is grouped with a certain type of person, a mammy, I should say, because that's what it's giving. At first watch, I wanted to give Coogler credit for making her the romantic interest. I didn't see her and be like, Mom. I was like, okay, yes. Oh, they're getting horny. Fuck yeah. You know, like, that's where I was. I was just like excited to see that, because I'm always looking for better representation of black women on film, period, because y'all don't ever get it right. He still didn't get it right. And I noticed one video pointed this out. Her name was Chrissy. I'll probably like tag her YouTube name in my notes or something. She was going in. I really haven't seen anybody else critique his representation of Annie, because although she is a romantic interest, yeah, second glance, I was like, let me be thinking about this in a different way, because my black ass was just like, black, it's yes, it's up, you know. I was just so excited for that. So I'm like, okay, let me think about this differently, and I'm like, oh, Annie, oh no. Not the sacrificial spiritual black woman. Oh no. It's like, on one hand, I'm excited that we're not demonizing hoodoo witchcraft. On the other hand, if it weren't for her knowledge, like I said earlier, they would not have been able to even know the evil that they were up against, period. Like, Sammy would not be alive. All of them would be dead. He was trying to subvert it, but couldn't help but just get there. I do think that people can only write, and this is not to excuse it, but I'm just saying, like, I think people can only write a character so far as their own personal experiences. Clearly, this is someone who still sees black women or women generally as the caretakers of the world, and not seeing that caretaking as a role that all people should be thinking about and doing. And not be leaving it up to us, man, because we tired. But that's really my only critique with it. Because like I said, I'm just like really into it. I only touched on a little bit of shit here, and it's kind of scramble bamble. I tried really hard to stick, and I thought I was gonna go through the plot, but I just really wanted to just get out all the things. I have my little notes here, and I did hit all the notes. I'm really loving seeing the world react to this. I'm really love seeing the world engage with this in the time where people are talking about anti-intellectualism and, you know, people kind of like rejecting reading and like giving a shit about history. Here's a piece of media right now that's getting people excited about history and learning. The funny thing about my hesitation with this film is that because so many people liked it, I was like, I don't know. But so many people liked it because he's just that great of a filmmaker. That's just what I'll leave it at that. I'm so excited to see what this man does. I'm starting to add another little filmmaker, another little artist to my like inspo box. But yeah, girl, I'll see you in the next video.